this is Jane. How you doing? Oh boy. I don't really have a plan, but I guess I got stuff to say about the recovery so far. Um, so oh, it's exhausting. I mean, it is exhausting. I just feel so tired and run down after every dilating session. Oh, the healing is going fast. Like the healing is going crazy fast. Like I'm really impressed with how fast I'm healing. Um, so, you know, the tiredness makes sense because my body is literally dumping everything into down there. Um, but it kind of makes me a little dull in the brain. I'm not the sharp. I'm not the sharpest spoon in the drawer right now. But it's okay. It's all for a good cause. Oh, bleeding has stopped, which is good. Mildly surprising. So there's two sources of bleeding. Internal bleeding, which should go on for weeks or even months, and I still get a little bit of spotting from inside. It's not like the bleeding is gone from inside. I'm getting spotting, but it's just that it's spotting. It's not like there's a lot of blood every time I dilate. And that's been in the last couple of days. And then the other major area for bleeding was the suture lines down to the bottom that come into a V right above the anus. That's all opened up. It just all of those sutures just broke. It's just yeah. It was a gore fest for days upon days upon days, and bleeding like crazy. But all of that area has stopped bleeding. It's starting to not crust over in the sense of scabbing because it's never allowed to be dry long enough because like literally I'm dilating 4 times a day, right? And I do sitz baths twice a day, and even so you've got the lubricant that's going all over all that area for a half an hour period, and then I go and I douche, and that gets the whole area wet, and um, I do sitz baths, which is 10 minutes each, twice a day, gets everything completely soaking wet. And every single time I pee, the pee goes every single direction except down. So the whole area just gets covered with pee whenever I pee. So it's never, and it's also constantly being stretched by the dilating as well. So that whole V section at the bottom that's wide open, it just has no capacity to like scab over or do anything other than just start to form scar tissue, um, in a not always wet because I keep it dry whenever possible. Like whenever I'm not doing stuff, I keep it dry, but I'm doing stuff often enough that you know dry or wet is a matter of degree. Um, so I'm not getting any bleeding from there now, which is fantastic. I love that. I'm so happy the bleeding is gone because I am such a massive coward when it comes to bleeding. L'chaim. Um, and the suture lines that start at the top and go out like a kind of a horseshoe crossed with a wishbone sort of shape. Um, they from the top all the way down except for the tiny little bit at the bottom, like a triangle, like that at the very bottom. So like a triangle like that big at the very bottom, all of the rest of the suture line is completely closed up. It's got the proper white scar tissue in it. So I've started putting vitamin E oil, rubbing it in, and massaging, because you want to get all of those you want to get all of those elastic scar tissues to loosen up. So I've started putting vitamin E oil and massaging those areas to soften everything up. And I would say this time next week, I should be able to do the same thing down at the very bottom as well, at the rate that it's healing. It's closing up really fast. And as I said, I'm just getting a tiny bit of spotting. Mostly just when I douche, actually. When the dilators come out, there's either no blood or just a tiny little blood at the tip on the dilators. And most of the blood that comes out is when I douche, and even then, it's like a very small quantity, which is great. That means all the suture lines inside are closing up nicely. I have an endoscope. I don't know where it is, but I have an endoscope. So at some point, I am actually going to go in there with what the hell's what's it called? The things that spread you open. I have one of those. Um, Again, anomia sucks ass. Fucking nouns kills me. You know the device that you use for doing vaginal inspections. So I have one of those things. So I'll just, later on, not yet. Everything is still quite painful right now down there. But when everything is sealed up properly, and I can, put something in there and stretch without too much pain, then I'm gonna go in there with an endoscope and have a look. And I'll probably show that footage, because while I don't really want to show the outside, because it's kind of like, you know, privacy stuff, showing the inside, I don't have any problem with that, which seems weird, but whatever. I don't see any problem with showing the inside. I don't know if I can show on. I'm sure I can show it on YouTube, because it's just inside, right? Like, not showing the outside at all, only showing the inside. So I can't imagine why they'd have a problem with that. There's lots of medical. There's tons of medical footage available on YouTube. Anyways, the vaginal cavity's doing good. It's hurting more now, but the reason why it's hurting more now is because I'm putting more pressure on the end, and because I'm trying to stretch it a little deeper. Like, I know there's very little extra depth I can get by pushing harder, but there is a little bit of extra depth I can get by pushing harder. So I'm trying to get every little bit of depth I can, because I feel like my depth it's okay, but it's not what I want it to be. I'd much rather have an extra inch of depth. That would make me very happy. I can't get an extra inch of depth, but I might be able to get an extra quarter inch. It's possible I could get an extra quarter inch. So I've been pushing a little harder, not like, to the point of excruciating pain, but to the point where, like, I just finished dilating, like 15 minutes ago, and it's achy in there. And when I do my next dilating session, I'm not going to push. So I'm like pushing every other dilating session, so I'm not doing it all the time. So the next one, I'll just go easy. I'll just go to the stop and just hold it there, and I won't push hard. But yeah, it's achy up there now, because I have this session I was pushing hard. Oh. Other structures, I haven't really gotten to close to my clitoris yet. It's because it's hooded, right? And I haven't really been poking around because the hood is still healing. Um, and yeah, I'm just a little bit of a coward about getting too aggressive with poking around. Um, and I actually took a picture and sent it to GRS Montreal to ask their opinion on something, because down over top of the urethra, like kind of hooding over the urethra from behind, is a, a bridge of tissue going across, and it's a bridge of tissue that's kind of like forming a wall between the urethra and the vaginal opening, um, with an indent into it in the center line that must have been a cut at some point. And that bridge, that wall, it's about that tall. It's about like I don't know, a third of an inch tall. So it's a decent size. It's hooding over top of the urethra. So when everything settles down, I just feel like it's going to be diverting the urine forward as opposed to going straight down. So I've got an email in with them, just ask them about it, and I so yeah, I'll report back what they say at some point. Um, I'm all bundled up because it's freaking cold outside. There's howling wind, and it's creeping in through all the cracks in the window. So I'm just like literally got all of my blankets on top of me just to just to stay warm, and it's cozy. It's cozy. Um, yeah, just exhausting. That's the main thing. The discomfort I'm feeling is because I'm pushing, because I'm trying to get a little extra depth. That's okay. It's understood. It's my choice. Um, so beyond that, yeah, it's just absolutely exhausting. Just wipes me out. And I'm a little brighter now, but right when I was finished this last session, I literally could barely keep my eyes open. I laid here for a bit with my eyes closed before I got the camera out to do this video. So, yeah, I'm not sure when I'm going to actually start this project, because I want to start it like today. I want to start it now if I could, but because I'm so tired, and I'm mentally tired as well as physically tired, because literally my body is diverting all of my energy down there to healing. I just don't have the mental faculties to be productive. So I don't know. It might be a few more days before I can really properly get started. Which sucks because I know what to do and I just need to do it. I know what to code and I just want to code it. But I'm just too tired. And I slept 10 hours again last night. It's like I've been sleeping 9 or 10 hours every single night since I've been home, which came home last Wednesday. Yeah, I came home last Wednesday. Every single night, 9 or 10 hours, and then feeling tired during the day after my dilating sessions. It's ridiculous. And I'm going through paper towel like there's like crazy, because you constantly have to pat things dry, you know? There's 1,000 times during the day where you're patting yourself dry, particularly after peeing, because it just goes everywhere. It's a total mess. Um, Um, One of the things with dilating that they had us do, and I really see the value in it, is not with dilating, but douching. Is so you fill the bottle, the squeeze bottle with the spout on it, right? You fill it up with saline, which I make my own saline, um, and I use distilled water, and I will recommend that distilled water is the best to use because you know what's in it and you don't necessarily know what's in your tap. And I'm not irrigating my vagina. Even though it's got salt in it, I'm still not irrigating. And you've got to boil it for 20 minutes. I'm still not irrigating my vagina in tap water because I think our tap water has lots of calcium in it, but God knows what's in your tap water, right? Distilled water, you know what's in it because it's distilled, and it's cheap. So I recommend just use distilled water. It's peace of mind if nothing else. Um, what they have us do is after you've squeezed all the saline up inside to flush everything out, you take it out. You take the straw part of it, and then you put that back inside. And that what that does is any water that's caught up inside, because like the whole cavity closes up, right? And if there's water up in there, it gets trapped. So you push just the nozzle on its own up inside to all the way up, and water drips out. Like I would say anywhere from nothing, because sometimes there's nothing that comes out, but as many as like like 12, 15 drips of water can come out, which is a lot of water. When you've got healing tissues in there, that's a lot of water. So yeah, I think it's a brilliant idea that the surgeon came up with to just get that extra little bit of water out. It definitely works. Um, so other than that, I think that's where I'm at with the healing process. It's just exhaustion. Uh, Time goes by quick. Time goes by really quick. And my floor muscles are still hurting, pushing those big babies in there. Um, but the floor muscles are starting to hurt just a smidge less each time. So they're still hurting. It's not pleasant putting them in there. But I would imagine, yeah, a couple more weeks and my floor muscles will be supple enough that it won't hurt. Um, and now that the swelling is down quite a bit internally as well as externally, I'm finding even the big one is pokey at the end, which kind of bothers me. So I'm actually looking at other dilator options. I've ordered one um, that's actually like it's expandable, so it's got an air bladder inside of it. So you lube it all up, you stuff it up in there, and it's kind of not terribly large, and then you can pump it up to not that big, but you can pump it up and put pressure in, and the tip of it is more round, less pokey than yeah. I don't have them, but I showed them in the last video, I think. Um, yeah, they're starting to get pokey at the end, and which is uncomfortable. Um, so yeah, I bought one that's got an air bladder inside, so you can make it expand. And I'll see how that goes. If that's more comfortable, then I'll switch to using it. And then if that doesn't seem to work, there's one more brand that I found where the round is literally a hemispheric. So the diameter is actually larger. Like my big one, the number 4, the orange one is an inch and a half in diameter, and that diameter, I don't find that diameter particularly large. Diameter has never been a problem for me for dilating. Um, this other kit, and it's only $67. It's not crazy. I can afford that, but it's largest one. Like all the rest of them are basically useless. I got no use for them, but its largest one is actually uh, uh, it's it's 4 centimeters in diameter, which is over an inch and a half. Yeah, it's 4 centimeters, so it's over an inch and a half. So it's a little bit bigger in diameter, which I'm happy for. And the end is hemispherical, which I think will be a lot more comfortable up at the very end. So if the pump up one doesn't work out, then I'll buy that other kit, and its largest one I think probably will be fine. Um, and you can do that. You can experiment. Like when you're initially dealing with swelling, the ones they give you from or they make you pay for, or however your surgeon does it, but the standard dilators you get, they're great to beginners. They're great starter dilators, but once the swelling starts to go down, and you start to think in terms of like, okay, well, what am I trying to achieve? Like for me, I want a little more depth. Even if it's just a quarter of an inch, I will take it. Any bit of depth I can accomplish, I'll take. But that requires pushing, and these ones are now starting to feel pokey, and it's causing achiness at the top, and so I don't know. And maybe I go back and forth, right? Maybe I use the dilator I already have, and I use a different kind of dilator, and I switch back and forth between them. I don't know. I don't know. But you can do that. You can experiment. You can try and find what feels the most comfortable, and what tries to get you the, the internal structure that you're aiming for. Um, uh, and you can do that. You can experiment. So the swelling is down. So for some reason, I need to put my hand down there to explain what I'm doing or what's going on. So the swelling there's still swelling. There's going to be swelling for some time to come, but the swelling is down, and the outside shape is getting more natural-ish sort of feeling. Um, and yeah, it's still all rather sore. It doesn't hurt. Yeah, it's sore. It hurts. Not a lot. It's a dull, achy pain, and it's just kind of sore all over. The suture lines are sore, and the bit at the bottom is stingy because it's not fully closed up, and muscles are sore, and everything is sore. But it's starting to look much better. Um, and yeah, I'm really happy. I'm really happy. I was thinking about this before I decided to turn the camera on. It's still early days for me because it's only been 2 weeks since I had the surgery, right? So it's still early days for me, but and my original motivation for doing this was um, to kind of finish the whole thing, right? Because inevitably there's something you have to do that's an act of desperation, right? Because of the gender dysphoria, whether it's physical dysphoria or emotional dysphoria or whatever combination of the two, some sort of dysphoria forces your hand, makes you do something that just has to happen, right? An act of desperation. For me, that act of desperation was the orchiectomy I started the whole process with in 2005, because it was my testicles that were bugging me the most. Like like when they were gone, 90% of my physical dysphoria went away instantly, right? And then emotional dysphoria, hormones, right? That's so between hormones and the orchiectomy, like virtually all my dysphoria went away. Um, so when I decided 3.5 years ago, well, just over 3 years ago, when I decided that I wanted to do bottom surgery, it my in my mind it wasn't an act of desperation, right? The desperate act was the orchiectomy. It was more a matter of wanting to feel complete, wanting to feel physically done, right? Like I want to do FFS someday, but that is to me that's cosmetic. Especially at my age, I'm 54, so it's going to be a facelift. Let's be honest here. It's going to be a facelift slash trach shave slash, you know, bone recontouring, but it's mostly cosmetic. But this is but completing the task, right? Getting where I want to be. Or so I thought until now. Now that I'm here, now that I have the vagina and I'm looking at it and I can look at it and it's not a gore fest, and um and even though I am a little about touching everything because it's still achy and uncomfortable and numb, and it's going to be a while before things get normal, but I look at it and it looks good. And maybe my motivation isn't just a sense of completion. Maybe it does make me feel better about myself. I thought I felt fine about myself, right? But now I think I feel a little better about myself, which is weird, I thought everything's cool, I'm fine, all's good. And then now this, and I'm like, oh, this is even better than what I already had. So, if you're in the pipeline for bottom surgery, can't recommend it enough. Cannot recommend it enough. And if you're contemplating, you got to do what's right for you, right? We all have to do what's right for ourselves. But I think I can evangelize this. I think I can proselytize the pussy. It's cool. And it feels good. Yeah. It feels good. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't really expect that I would have as strong feelings about all of this at this point, because again, I thought, I'm just going through the motions to find completion and all this sort of stuff, but no, there's more to it than that. This is good. This has got hidden bonuses. There's inner bigness down there. So yeah, I went to the grocery store again this morning and I felt vulnerable again. Not as much, and I think it's diminishing, so I think at some point it's just going to taper right off and it's not going to be anything anymore. But it is interesting to note that I do have this sense of vulnerability being out in public. Could be because I'm dealing with, like, well, it's not an open wound anymore, but I mean, it was an open wound literally a couple days ago. Um, could be that. I don't know what it is. I really don't know what it is, but I feel vulnerable out in public in a way that I've never felt before, which is interesting. It's interesting. It's a life experience, and I don't necessarily know what it means, or if it'll last, or if it'll die off. It feels like it's dying off, but yeah, weird stuff. Um, yeah, I wish I had more. Wish I had more to share. I'm supposed to be putting stuff up, all my trans flags and progress flag and lights, and turning this room into what my bedroom used to look like, because at my last place it was just beautiful with lights all over the place and the flags and everything. It was gorgeous. I loved my bedroom, and I've been here since the summer living with my dad, and I still haven't organized my bedroom properly and made it my space. And it's a priority, but I'm also exhausted all the time. So, one of these videos, I'll be able to show off all the lights and the flags and the drapery and all the stuff hanging. And yeah, eventually, this will be a fun room that I can show off. So on my project, yeah, I haven't done anything. I know where to start. I know exactly what I need to do to start. Like, I got to get the first step is talking to the broker, right? Getting used to working with the API to the broker so that I can send requests in and then get back and process the responses. That's the first step. And then from there, I build on layer upon layer upon layer the rest of the system. And that's where it's got to begin, because uh, you know, I will always be working with live data. I'm not going to be working with any canned data. So because I will always be working with live data, I have to get those live data streams coming in. Um, and Yeah, but I just don't have the energy. I don't have the mental energy to do it. I just don't have the mental energy to do it. Is there anything else? It's cold. It's boring. I'm tired. Yeah, that's not very exciting. I want to finish off in a nice, positive way. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I gotta. Yeah, I gotta come up with a video routine. I think, because I've just been like, I had a video routine, right, when I was doing the whole 12-part series on the actual surgical stuff. That was a routine. It formed a routine in and of itself because of the events. Now that that's done, and I'm just kind of going from day to day general life stuff, I don't really have a routine with these videos. So I think maybe I should think about some structure, some organization, um, some setting. um, I'm not yet able to sit upright for extended period of times, which would be great if I could, because then I could sit in front of the computer and have my proper webcam on top of the monitor, and I could be working away and doing stuff and talking while I'm working. That would be an interesting structure, but I can't sit on the chair for more than 5 minutes at a time because it's not comfortable yet to sit upright. Um, so I'm kind of stuck here in bed, which is boring. Um, so yeah, I guess that's gonna be it. And maybe next time I'll have, I don't know, something more interesting to say. Well, I mean, all this stuff has been interesting because it's good to know. But yeah, going out with a whimper again. So I love y'all, and I will talk to you in a day or two.